Hi everybody, my name is Chris, and I was asked to do a tutorial on how I manage my weapons and swapping of hands in my pet project, MOTU Kombat, a Masters of the Universe pet project of mine. I'm going to have some help from Skeletor here, who's I'm sure very excited. Let's see, to start off, the animation I use, let's find it real quick. So the animation I use has him reaching behind his back to unsheath his sword. So let's show that real quick. So based on your animations and how you're going to be drawing and or holstering weapons, you're going to need to figure out where you need swords. So Skeletor actually has 3 swords, although you can only see 1 at the moment. So we have the one that is parented to his back right here. And then, let's see if I can find the other 2. Parented to his left hand, I have another sword. And his right hand also has a sword. So this is much better than like actually changing the location of the sword. Now, you don't have to mess with transforms and changing of parenting. I thought that was a little too complex to try to do that. So simply activating and deactivating objects, I thought was by far the best way to go. So the sword is set up with a couple of just dummy game objects. Let's see if I can find one. So there's a couple of hitboxes set back in the hitbox script to this weapon so that I can give it some length. So that's how it worked out best for me. So the only change to code that I did was this right here. Which is in the form draw and holster a weapon. So here's the only code change to the UFE code that I've made. The rest of it is done through Playmaker. So this code right here swaps the hitboxes from sword on the left and sword on the right as if it was a right hand or a left hand. So it'll change based on the side you're facing. Which is pretty important. If you swing with your right hand, you want the sword, the hitboxes on the right to be the ones that do the hitting and damage. So anyways, moving on to how I actually manage the... oops, I don't want animation going on right now. Don't need to be recording anything. So let's remove those. Don't need those. Going back to my FSM. So here's whenever the game object is first created, it does a little fail-safe that I started. It sets the visibility correctly. It sets the one in the back to active. It sets both swords in the left and right hand to inactive. My animation has a Mechanim event, this little thing right here. If you right-click in this gray area of the Mechanim animation window, you can edit you can add an animation event. I've already got one, so I have it sending a remote FSM event, although I know Playmaker has changed how they do that recently. There's a proxy event setup that it uses. So it's a little different now than how I had this set up. Once I get to this section of my animation right here, right where he reaches behind him, right there, that's where I need the swords to look like it goes from his back into his hand. So basically I just have this FSM, which is pretty simple to manage which weapon is showing. So it sends this event, draw weapon, which you see right here. If you're familiar with how Playmaker works, it moves from here down to right here, where I'm getting the transform of this main character object just on the Y axis, getting the Euler angle right there, and getting that. I have every frame, but, well, it's just good to do. So I convert that to an integer, and because integers are much easier to use with this sort of thing, you're not going to worry about rounding issues or anything like that. But although it probably doesn't actually matter. But anyways, after I do that, I go to int compare, and I compare it to 180. Now, if it is less than or greater than it decides which way it's facing. And so let's say it's facing one certain direction. It's going to activate the sword on the left. So this way, this would be your facing left, I believe. Or actually, no, this would be your facing right. And so you want the sword on the left. There. You know what? I'm rambling. So either way, whatever way you're facing, you want the right sword to be active. And then, of course, the other sword to be inactive. And then, of course, the sword in the back to be inactive as well. Once that's finished, it goes to the listener state, where, again, it's getting the Y rotation of Skeletor and comparing that, this time, to 90. So anytime that it equals 90, it jumps to the next state, and it realized it's facing a different direction, and so it swaps the swords, which ones are visible again. So again, left sword is now deactivated, right side activated. Oops, did I click something here? Oh, there it is. Okay, there's the sword on the right that is now active, and now you have a listener state. Now, the last thing about this FSM, if I decide with my animation to sheathe the sword, which how I have his victory animation go, right there, it kind of just follows the same system. I send an event to holster the weapon, which sends it all the way back up to the initial state, and both hands have their swords deactivated, and the sword on his back is active. So, reasons why you might want to do it this way is it's pretty simple. It stays out of the UFE code for the most part, which I'm not a programmer, and I find Playmaker much easier to use. Plus, if Playmaker updates, then you don't have to worry about it. But let's see it in action real quick. So, reasons why you might want to do this again, if you want your character to be facing the camera all the time, that presents a problem when you have weapons. There's a few other projects out there in the showcase that have weapons involved, but the character on the right is facing with his back towards the camera. So, this way you'll see every time they switch sides, every time they switch sides, the weapon magically switches hands, which is kind of silly if you think about it, but it really it allows you to have them facing the camera at all times. So, and the reason why this works is how UFE is set up. These player objects that UFE creates are the objects that actually do the moving around as far as transform in world space. The only thing that really changes with your main character object is the rotation, and it's pretty much either 90 or 270, which is why this FSM works so easily, just comparing it to a simple float. So, anyways, I hope that helps explain it, and hopefully that other people can figure out if that's an approach they want to use or not. Anyways, have a wonderful day. Catch you later.